Let's take a closer look at the Black Series Bix Caleen 6-inch action figure from Star Wars Andor.
Varykino, living the Star Wars life.
Hello there, and thanks for visiting the Varykino YouTube channel. Today I'm going to take a closer look at the Black Series Bix Caleen 6-inch action figure from the Star Wars series Andor from Disney+. I really enjoyed the Andor series and hoping that they're going to make a lot of action figures of all the characters that we meet throughout the series. Of course, one of the prominent ones that we meet in the show is Bix Caleen. So I'm very keen to see how they have translated the character into this Black Series 6-inch figure. She doesn't appear to have any weapons. She's got some interesting accessories, so I'm going to take a closer look at those as well. So before we open it up, let's take a look at the packaging. As with the other figures from the Andor series, this is part of Hasbro's plastic-free packaging line, so there is no window. We have a glossy image of the figure on the front with this bright orange stripe for Star Wars Andor and the name Bix Caleen down there. On the side we have some beautiful artwork of the character, again with the sort of bright orange color scheme at the bottom. And then on the back we have a picture of the figure. Now, one thing that I've noticed with the Andor series figure packaging is the little text blurb is all the same. It basically talks about Andor and not specifically about the characters. The back of this packaging reads, Bix Caleen. In an era filled with danger, deception, and intrigue, Cassian Andor embarks on a path that will turn him into the rebel hero who will challenge the evil Galactic Empire. So I don't know if this was because they were basically keeping the bios for each of the characters secret. I really don't know why there isn't an individualized text for the different characters for the Andor series in particular. On the back we can see that Bix Caleen is number 5 in Star Wars Andor. And then on the other side we have a picture of the figure with the scale. This figure is 5.6 inches or 14.2 centimeters, and then we have that plastic-free packaging text there. So that's the packaging. Let's get stuck in and open it up to take a closer look at the figure inside. Opening up the box, we have the figure wrapped in Star Wars Black Series branded tissue paper and the accessories in this little paper sealed pouch. I'm going to take a closer look at the figure first. I'm very excited, because I haven't seen, I can't see them in person in the store, so I'm very keen to get my first-hand look at this figure. Okay, she looks cool. Lots of beige and brown tones. It's almost a little bit more, perhaps yellow on the box. She looks a slightly different tone than what I was expecting. Just on the box art, it looks a little bit more of like a yellow or a mustard tone. This is a lot more warmer. I quite like this color scheme. I really like her braids too. She has a distinctive hairstyle in the show, and I'm really liking the way that they have done her hair on this figure. That looks really quite cool. So, first impressions. She's got a good face paint. I don't see any major flaws, which of course is the first thing I'm looking for when I'm opening up one of these sort of blind boxes. I want to check out to make sure I haven't got essentially a dud figure. I can see she's got some really interesting details on her costume, so I'm keen to check out all this articulation. I think she looks really cool. Okay, so I'm just going to open up these accessories because I'm really curious about these. I'm not entirely sure what these accessories are. I'm going to have to look at the... Oh, I thought there was something else in here. Oh, does this clip out? Oh, okay. My brain was thinking, I can see on the box she's holding something in her hand and a bigger accessory here. It comes... For a second I thought I was missing something. So this actually slides in there. That's kind of cool. So Hasbro described this as basically an entertainment themed or entertainment inspired accessory. I'll have to go back and watch Andor so that I can correctly identify this accessory. They haven't given her a weapon or anything like that. She has got a few tools on her belt that are not removable. So this is the one accessory that she has. So it's basically a pretty slimline yellow sort of basically a big iPad, a big sort of text screen with a handle on one end, and this can clip in, and then we've got this sort of long strap that just kind of ends. It doesn't seem to sort of attach to anything, and that one is sort of painted in just sort of a beige color. Interesting paint job. I think this is painted. It's slightly textured. I don't think it's a sticker. The black lines on this are raised like it's actually painted on, and then we've got some black painted details on this little removable remote device. I like the way that that slides in there. That's kind of fun. Gonna have to find a few ways for her to hold that. So fun little accessory there. So I'm gonna check out the interesting sort of aspects of this figure, including the articulation, and we'll see what kind of poses she can do. So I get the feeling that these braids are potentially going to limit how far around we're going to be able to turn her head. No, we can get pretty good. They're pretty flexible. Oh, very flexible. I was expecting something a little firmer than that. Yeah, that could potentially be a break point if you're not careful about it, because they get very narrow through here, and that feels very flimsy. Not flimsy, but very just very bendy. A lot more bendy than I was expecting them to be. I thought they'd be a bit more rigid, like the top of the hair. I almost wonder if that's... I can't really quite tell where the difference in the plastics are. This feels very sturdy, and then we get to here, that feels very sturdy. But then these endpoints are very, very flexible. There's got to be a seam in there or a really hidden join. It's really quite well done. I can't see the joins in there if there is one. Yeah, I guess just the thickness of the plastic means that this is not bending as much as those ends. But yeah, okay, so that doesn't really restrict the movement. I like the paint job on the face. I mean, just so long as the eyes aren't too weird with their expression, it's all pretty good. So she's got a vest that is sort of over top. We can see sort of the inner plastic there under the arm, and we can see that it actually sort of overlays the lower half around at the waist. And so we've got pretty good, very good movement in her arms. I can swing that all the way around. Comes out nicely. Got some good articulation at the elbows there, and at the wrists too. So yeah, she's got her hands in sort of a grip pose, and this one has a grip but a little bit more of a trigger finger, even though she doesn't come with a blaster. Again, same sort of posability with that other arm there as well. Pretty good. I don't even know if the camera can see it. There's like a subtle fabric texture. It's like an interesting sort of grid. I don't even know if the camera can see that small. It's got a very small texture to it to sort of replicate the texture of her tunic. That's really cool. It's the same sort of texture as used on the vest here. I'm really liking how small and tidy the sculpting is on her fabric components here. And we've also got the sort of little badge here that's underneath her braid. That's very nicely painted. I like that. Very tidy. And then, of course, let's go down with the articulation. Technically, she can move at the waist, though I'm not going to get a lot of articulation in terms of moving to the side. Very stiff. I can sort of pose her a little bit to the sides. And we've got a little bit of sort of a rotation here, but not a lot. I really like the sculpting on her belt. We've got some really nice tidy detail here with the sort of gunmetal, metallic, dark silver here on these tools and on her buckles here. And then just the brown leather that goes around the back. Very tidy. Of course, we have this very big skirt that is in a fairly sturdy. We've got a little bit of movement here with this plastic, but I get the feeling that because it encompasses her upper thighs, that's going to make any kind of posability with her legs a bit restricted there. So let's see. Yep, I can't really, because of this sort of inner dark tunic, her leg stops about there. It's hitting in here. So that's about as far forward as her leg is going to go there. And yeah, again, back, not very far back either. And yeah, that skirt is pretty much limiting how far out to the side it can go as well. So you're not really going to get a lot of posability up there. And she doesn't have a seam in the upper thigh. So the next point of articulation is at the knees, which is pretty good articulation. I like that it's hidden behind the sort of fabric sculpting of her pants, particularly in the front. And you can see the line going up there at the back. So when I bend the knee back, it still looks pretty tidy. I like that. Not a very obvious join, nice and tidy there. And we can see the really interesting texture on the boots. We've got this really fine lines sculpted in there to give sort of a fabric texture to the covering of her boots. And then we've got some ankle articulation here as well. I'm really quite impressed, oops, I'm sort of bending that back a bit, with that really fine texture all over her fabric components. That looks really nice. Not a lot in the way of sort of weathering or antiquing to give this sort of a little bit more of a worn look. It's a very clean figure, but I do appreciate that the painting is very clean. I don't really see much in the way of, I think perhaps, you know, even down here on the gloves, we would tend to get a little bit of overspill or anything like that. We've just got a tiny little bit where some of that brown has gone onto the gauntlet part. That's really, really minor in terms of paint sort of flaws. The rest of it looks really tidy. I'm especially happy with this belt. Belts and things like, you know, the dots on Vader's belt or chest box or Imperial Officer rank badges. Sometimes that paint just a little bit over to the left or right and it looks a little bit wonky because it's not in the right place. This all looks really tidy and well done. And I think she looks pretty cool. I do hope that we get a lot more of the new characters from Andor in the Black Series line like Bix, so we can start to build a good collection from the show. She stands pretty well. I thought maybe her ankles would be a little bit wobbly, but she's pretty good about standing up, even with that big skirt at the front. So let's see how well she's going to hold this screen, I guess. I'm going to see if I can pose it like it is pictured on the box here in her hand. So the little handle is a bit bendy. Let's see how easily I can get this in her hand. It's a bit tight and her hand kind of wants to rotate here a little bit. Let's see how well I can get it in under those fingers. Yeah, she kind of holds it. Yeah, the handle is a little bit bendy, so kind of wants to flex a little bit while she's holding it. But there, she can hold her entertainment or tech device there with a screen. And I assume I can get her to hold that. I'm not really sure how that's going to fit though. I'm going to just, I don't know. They must have really pulled the fingers open. I don't think I can get that in there. I'm just going to see what happens if I thread the sort of the strap through her hands and see if I can get her to sort of hold it like that perhaps. Maybe if I do it at this point. Bit tricky. Might need to play around with some poses on that one. It's a little bit of a bendy thing, but this really does look too big to put in her hand. But that's how they've posed it there. I can't quite figure that one out. I'll have to play around with that one. I can get her holding it at least a bit like that. She can hold it like that. So she can sort of hold the two pieces of her device. I guess she can even sort of hold it up like that so she can see the screen. I'm going to have to go back and watch Andor. I kind of wish that there was a sort of clearer description of the accessories on the packaging, just so I could know what to call this properly. Not all the devices and tech is even identified on screen. But yeah, I'm just going to have to refresh my memory about what it is that she is holding here so I can figure out the best way to pose her holding it. But yeah, it's kind of interesting. They haven't given her It's almost a little bit of a bright yellow. I assume that is the color it's on screen if we see this device clearly. I think she looks good. Some people might take issue with, I don't know, the cleanliness or the fact that the skirt restricts the posing of the legs if you want to do some sort of action poses. I don't mind it. As I've mentioned before, I generally don't get too adventurous with my posing. I generally have them standing up straight, you know, generally posing with the arms and upper body, because I'm just always scared of figures tumbling off my shelves and losing things and getting damaged. But I think she looks pretty good. It's perhaps just a little bit of I think it's just a little bit of a shadow around her hairline being glued down there. I think it's all pretty well done, which I'm quite relieved about. You know, it's always an anxious thing buying these blind boxes and you can't see what the figure inside is going to look like or whether it's got a tidy paint job, but I think she looks pretty cool. So let me know in the comments down below what you think of this figure. Is this one going to be added to your collection, or is it a miss for you? I think she's a cool character. I'm glad that she has been added to the Black Series line. I hope we do see a lot more Andor figures from Hasbro to really flesh out our collection. And yeah, I think she looks really cool. I'm particularly impressed with her braids. I think that those are really quite well sculpted. If the camera will pick up on that, there's some really quite fine detail in her hair braids there. I think they look really cool. And on the back there, some really cool details there. And that texture on the back of her vest, it's really nicely done. Could perhaps do with some weathering, but I know that they generally don't sort of weather fabrics. You know, they generally save that for droids, you know, with sort of blaster marks or anything like that. But I think she looks pretty cool. Very happy to have her in my collection. So that was my unboxing and review of the Bix Caleen Black Series 6-inch figure. I hope you enjoyed this video. Do check out our other videos for more Star Wars unboxings and adventures. Catch you in the next video, and as always, may the Force be with you.
If you enjoyed this video, go ahead and give it a like, check out our other videos, and subscribe for alerts about new uploads. Thanks for watching, and may the Force be with you.